that moving to Australia isn't as simple as packing a suitcase and booking a flight. Let's be real. Hi friends, it's Marissa. Welcome back to my Australia chapter, and welcome to episode 2 of So You Want to Move to Australia in 2025. Episode 1 was all about visa requirements, and since you're watching episode 2, you may have already applied and even been approved for the work and holiday visa in Australia. So if that's the case, let me be the first to congratulate you, because I think that is so awesome, and you are moving forward into this new pathway for yourself. So congratulations. Taking the first step, I think, is the hardest. I bet you're also feeling excited, but I know that moving to Australia isn't as simple as packing a suitcase and booking a flight. So I'm going to go over some of the top things to think about while you are preparing for your move to Australia. I've broken this down into 7 categories, and they are time-stamped for you in this video, but I also did create a PDF checklist that I'm going to be referencing as I'm talking. I have linked it in the description. It is free to download. I hope that you find it helpful. I've also left some blank space on there for you if you would like to fill anything else in that I may have missed, or anything that's specific to you. Okay, category number 1 is research. And I think you're already ahead of the game with that by watching this video right now, but there are so many videos that you can watch on YouTube. Watch some travel vlogs. There are some people who have posted work and holiday vlogs as well. You can also look up Aussie slang. That's a fun one. A lot of it will be learned when you get here, and I think that's part of the experience, obviously, but it doesn't hurt to look at different people's perspectives of traveling to Australia. I would also suggest joining some backpacker Facebook groups. There are a ton that you can join. I will link a few of them in the description below for you as well. But Facebook is huge here. It's a good way to look at what other people are doing, and also maybe make some friends too before you get here. You never know. Category 2 is flights. I think the first thing to consider before booking a flight is, when do you want to come to Australia? And you'll be surprised how many people don't know this, but Australia's seasons are backwards to the US seasons because Australia is in the southern hemisphere. I know, I can't believe that I had to explain that either, because there are people who don't know that. So when it is winter in the US, it's summer in Australia, and vice versa. So take that into consideration before you come to Australia. What kind of experience are you looking for? Then once you've determined when you want to come to Australia, decide where you want to fly into. I would say the 3 major cities that would have flights from the US coming in would be Sydney, Melbourne, and Perth. So when you're doing your research, definitely look into those as kind of a starting point for your time in Australia, and then you can go from there. After that, I would recommend setting up price alerts on something like Google Flights or Skyscanner, something similar. There are a ton of search engines out there to help you find a good deal on a flight. All right, now that we have flights sorted, let's talk accommodation. So really you have kind of 3 options when you first arrive in Australia, and that's a hostel, a hotel, or an Airbnb. So everyone's going to be different, and all 3 of those options have pros and cons to them. And I think it just depends on what kind of experience you're looking for right away. Are you somebody who needs a little bit of alone time to get things sorted, or do you want to jump right into being social and meeting people? I think a hostel is really great for a social aspect. You're going to be meeting other travelers right away. Because you're putting yourself in that situation. Whereas, a hotel or an Airbnb would be more for those people who want to rest a little bit right away and have some alone time to kind of sort things out on their own. So definitely do some research, find what works best for you. And I would recommend booking at least the first week or 2 in the city that you arrive, and then kind of be flexible from there. I know it's kind of scary being, unsure of where you're going to be living right away. But when I came over to Australia, I honestly just kept my options open as much as possible because I didn't know who I was going to meet or what opportunities that I would have the chance to say yes to. And I didn't want to have too many things set up for me to be able to say no to opportunities if they did come my way. And they did. So I think going in with that mindset of having flexibility in your schedule is only going to help you in the long run. All right, the fourth category already. So category number 4 is fix your resume. And I know that we don't really want to be thinking about that as we are preparing for this big trip over to Australia, because let's be real, like job hunting is not fun. But if you fix your resume now and add your most recent work experience, you'll already be ahead of the game when you do start job hunting. Remember, it's a work and holiday visa. And while you don't have to get a job while you're in Australia, I think you would be kind of silly not to, just because this is an opportunity for you to be able to live, travel, and work in another country legally. Why wouldn't you take advantage of that? And Australia has one of the highest minimum wages in the world. And there are a lot of opportunities for you to save money here as well if you're looking in the right places. So get ahead of the curve and fix your resume now so that you don't have to think about it once you get here. Okay, category number 5 is just some logistics to consider while you're at home, and these may not apply to everyone. And I apologize, I'm going to be looking at my iPad a little bit for this one because they're kind of all over the place. But things to ask yourself basically is like, do you have an apartment? Do you have a car? Should you look into something like a storage unit while you're away to keep your things in? Would you rather sell everything and start from scratch? Just things you need to take action on before you leave the country. One of my biggest pieces of advice would be to downsize as much as possible and travel as light as you can. I know I'm saying that and you're thinking, but I'm moving all the way to Australia. You're going to want to keep yourself as mobile as possible, because while you may stay in one place for an extended period of time, you're going to want to travel and you're going to want to see the country. And with that, I would try to say downsize to one backpack or one suitcase. Another thing on this list would be to look into any subscription services that you have and seeing if you need to cancel those or if they would transfer over to your life in Australia or even be beneficial for you. Things like, streaming services, gym memberships, Amazon Prime, etc. Just take some time to look through those things before you leave. Another thing to think about before you come to Australia is if you'd like to keep your US cell phone number. Now, this may not apply to everyone, but I know that I have had the same phone number since I was like 13 years old, and that phone number was tied to so many things. And I didn't necessarily want to lose it. So what I did is I imported my phone number with Google Voice so that I could restore that phone number at any time and I still have access to it. So maybe that's something you're interested in doing as well. I feel like that's one of those things that we don't think about until we leave the country and need to figure out a SIM card situation for the new country that we're in. There are a lot of YouTube videos and tutorials showing you how to port your phone number into Google Voice. I do believe it costs a little bit of money, but to me it was worth it, and I would highly recommend. I haven't had a bad experience with that at all. Another thing that I would recommend is to not stay on your US phone plan when you come to Australia. And that's just because you're going to probably be here for a whole year, potentially even longer. So I think that it is worth investing in an Australian phone number and SIM card because you'll save more money in the long run than paying for an international plan. And when you have an Australian phone number, it looks so much better on a resume. It helps you a lot more with jobs as well. All right, this next category kind of goes against what I was saying about downsizing, but some things that you might consider buying before coming to Australia. So the first thing is Australian dollars. I think it's a smart idea to exchange some US dollars for Australian dollars because you just never know when you're going to be in a situation where you need to use cash. I wouldn't really say that you need a lot of cash because Australia is very much a tap to pay culture, but it never hurts to have some, and you just never know when you're going to be in a situation where you might need it. Say your card isn't working or something to that effect. I just think that it's smart to have. So the next couple of things are some electronics. The first being a plug adapter. You're definitely going to need one of these because the outlets here in Australia are different than the ones in the US. So definitely a necessity. And the other necessity is a portable charger if you don't already have one. When you arrive to Australia, you are going to be so reliant on your phone that you're not going to realize how much your battery is going to drain right away. So I highly recommend bringing a portable charger and carrying it with you while you're exploring. The last yet probably most important thing for you to look into before coming to Australia is travel insurance. So of course, I'm not an expert in travel insurance or health insurance, but I do know that as American citizens, unfortunately, we do not have the privilege of using the Australian Medicare system. And because that is the case, it is very important to have travel insurance, even if it's just for emergencies, in case something were to happen. And if you are someone who sees a doctor regularly or takes medication, definitely have a conversation with your doctor and let them know your plans for moving to another country and see what your options are. All right, we've made it to the 7th and final category, which is making digital copies of your important documents. So you may already have some of these as scans on your computer or your device that you use to apply for your visa. So things like your passport, your driver's license, your birth certificate, even your flight information, your accommodation information, any airport pickup or tour info that you may need to reference. I would take all of these things and upload them to, either Google Drive or the files on your phone or something that you can have offline access to, because you just never know when you're going to need them. And this also includes your visa grant letter, because from personal experience, I did need my visa grant letter when I was coming back to the US from Australia after a while because the TSA agent asked me for it. So like I said, you just never know when you're going to need them, and it'll save you so much time if you already have them ready to go in a folder that you know that you can access versus trying to frantically use the airport Wi-Fi that is sometimes really spotty and downloading them on the spot. All right, we've made it to the end of the video. If you've watched this far, I hope that you're feeling a little bit better about making steps towards actually coming to Australia. If I've missed anything, feel free to put it in the comments below. And also, I wanted to take some time to give a disclaimer, or I'm not really sure what to call it. The purpose of me making this video series is just to spread more awareness about the work and holiday program to my fellow Americans. And that's just because I didn't even know it existed until it was almost too late for me to do it myself. And I do think it's such a good way for people to travel and experience new cultures. And at the end of the day, that is all I'm trying to do. I am not saying that Australia is better than any other country. I'm just here encouraging you to get out of your comfort zone and experience something new if that is something that you are seeking. And with that, thank you for watching this video. I hope that you learned something, and I want you to feel like you are supported and that you have a friend in me. I've gone through it, and I am here for you. I'm rooting for you, and I cannot wait to see you thriving in Australia. With that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.